The whispers of our bond have traveled like wind-swept verses through palace corridors and distant deserts alike, stirring questions, igniting curiosity, and birthing countless fables. But none have touched the core of what lives between us, the truth buried beneath royal etiquette and veiled glances. This isn't a tale of mere fascination or fleeting attraction. It is a revelation of souls drawn together by something ancient, something divine. A love that never asked permission to exist, yet planted its roots in the heart of a kingdom ruled by silence and honor. From the moment I met Sheikh Hamdan, I knew the universe was shifting. His presence, tall, regal, yet strikingly gentle, didn't merely enter a room, it transformed the space. His eyes, deep as the Arabian Sea, carried more than the weight of his lineage. They carried a story, one that had been waiting for mine to collide with it. In those first moments, words became irrelevant. There was a sacred dialogue between our energies, a conversation that defied logic and lineage. We became each other's secret in a world governed by duty and tradition. While others saw him as the crown prince, the poet, the falcon of Dubai, I saw the man behind the titles, the one who bore the loneliness of expectation, the burden of legacy. In his laughter, I found freedom. In his stillness, I found home. Our love was forged in private gardens and hidden courtyards, in poetry written under moonlight and smiles exchanged beneath keffiyehs and veils. Yet, love like ours was never meant to stay hidden. The truth has a pulse, and over time, it demanded to be known. It knocked against the walls we built to protect it. It breathed down the necks of our denials. There were nights when we asked if this path was too treacherous, when the weight of 1,000 eyes seemed too much to bear. But even then, we chose each other, again and again, because what we had wasn't merely romance, it was purpose. The world sees perfection when they look at him, a leader, an icon, a son of the sands. But I have seen his imperfections, and I have loved him more because of them. I have watched him wrestle with choices that could never satisfy both the crown and the heart. And in those moments, I did not love him as a prince. I loved him as a man. As someone fighting for a life beyond expectations, as someone who dared to want joy for himself. Ours has been a journey wrapped in poetry and silence, sacrifice and fire. The verses he penned that made millions sigh? Some of them were for me. The horse rides through the desert at twilight, the drone shots of empty dunes. They were metaphors for our isolation, our longing. No camera ever truly captured what we shared in those private moments. Only our hearts knew the magnitude of what we risked, and what we stood to lose. This truth was never about scandal or rebellion. It was about honesty, about stepping into the fullness of our story and saying, yes, it is real. Yes, it was love. And yes, it still is. The time for secrecy has passed. The time to hide behind half smiles and cryptic verses has dissolved. What lives between us is sacred, and to deny it any longer would be a betrayal to ourselves and to those who believe in love that defies all odds. We have walked through shadows with elegance, but now we stand in light with courage. Sheikh Hamdan was never mine to own. He was mine to understand, to support, to love without possession. And yet, in loving each other, we became something no title could define. Not merely lovers. Not just companions. We became co-authors of a truth that refuses to be erased by protocol or forgotten by time. And so, let the world watch. Let them wonder, let them write their versions of what they think they see. But know this, the truth about us is no longer hidden. It breathes in the space between his touch and my sigh, in the poetry that echoes beyond Dubai's skyline, in the grace with which we have endured and the fire that still burns beneath our calm exteriors. To love a man like Sheikh Hamdan is not to chase a fairy tale. It is to live a duality. To balance between tradition and temptation, silence and song. It is to speak in metaphors when the truth would be too loud, and to hold on even when distance becomes a cruel reminder of what we're not allowed to claim. But even in that ache, there is beauty. Even in the waiting, there is honor. This love is not a scandal, it is a revolution. One that teaches royalty to feel, teaches poets to bleed, and teaches lovers to rise above fear. We are not perfect, nor have we ever pretended to be. But we are real. And in a world of illusions, reality, raw, flawed, radiant reality, is the boldest truth of all. So here it is, unveiled, unfiltered, undeniable. The truth about us. A prince and a woman who were never supposed to meet, never supposed to love, and yet did. We are not seeking approval, nor validation. We offer only this: a love story that existed whether you looked or not. One that will echo far beyond the palace gates, into the hearts of those who dare to love in silence and still believe it can survive the noise. The truth does not fade simply because it is spoken aloud. If anything, now that it has tasted the air, it pulses with a life of its own. Our love, once cloaked in shadows, now dances in the sun, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. The journey to this revelation was paved with stolen moments and hidden verses, but now every echo of our names feels lighter, freer. And with that freedom comes a new kind of strength, the kind that comes when two hearts no longer fear being seen. When Hamdan reached for my hand beneath a sky full of stars, it was more than affection. It was a silent promise that no matter what came, we would face it together. But the truth is, love didn't just carry us, it refined us. It taught us patience where the world demanded haste, resilience where society expected silence. Sheikh Hamdan's gaze would steady me when doubts came like desert storms. Stay, his eyes would whisper, even when the world shouted, leave, and I stayed, because he was worth it. Because we were worth it. The palace walls know our laughter now. They remember the echo of footsteps in hallways where we once walked apart, now drawn toward each other with magnetic certainty. And the very gardens that witnessed our beginning, where jasmine swayed to the rhythm of our breath, now blossom bolder, braver, as if reflecting the truth we've finally dared to show the world. No longer must I pretend I am merely a passing presence in his orbit. I am his constant, as he is mine, not just in private,